Welcome in the name of Jesus Christ. All the songs y'all sung today is what we sing in Celebrate Recovery. And one of them, praise and worship, you know. On your screen, on the front up here is a list of things that we deal with in Celebrate Recovery. I will. Well, I'll go ahead and do this, okay. I'm a great believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with forgiveness and trust issues. My name is Ron. And I have my wife here, Carolyn. She's the one who tries to keep me straight. It's hard. But I appreciate her helping me and alongside of me. This ministry we've been doing for 14 years, my wife and I. But look on this board, these hurts, habits, and hang-ups. I'd like to ask you a question this morning. Look at that board carefully. So a lot of things up there. Who can relate to something on that board in your family, your workplace, association with somebody, or somebody you know? Raise your hand. That's right. If we say we don't, we're in denial. That's what it is. So it's all about recovery. 30% is drug and alcohol. The rest is life issues. So that's just a lot of the things there. That's the only thing I'm going to put on the board. You can leave it up there. Celebrate Recovery is a biblical and balanced program. It's designed as a program to help those struggling with hurts, habits, and hang-ups, showing them to follow Jesus Christ. This ministry is God's ministry. It's about Jesus Christ. Not about Ron, not about Celebrate Recovery, about Jesus Christ. The 12 steps in biblical comparison and 8 principles are based on Beatitudes on the Sermon on the Mount. Celebrate Recovery, listen, follows the local policies of the church. We don't dictate, you got to do this, you got to do that. Policy in your church, that's what you follow. You must have, this is the must, you must have senior pastor support. That's the key. If you don't have pastor support, it'll go, but it ain't going to go strong. And that's why I'm glad the pastor called me on this. And the thing is about Celebrate Recovery, pray. What else you do? You pray. What else you do? You pray. Continually pray that God will lead you in here. Anonymity and confidentiality and Celebrate Recovery. What is said in those meetings stays in that meeting. Don't go out the door with that. It stays right there. In Celebrate Recovery, we have step study classes we do. I'm doing a men's step study class on Tuesday night at our church. I have 7 guys in there. We just started a week or so ago. My wife's doing the ladies. She has 5 ladies in there in hers. So I have some information sheets in the back there on the table. Get a copy of some of that. Tells you what Celebrate is, what it's not. And Celebrate Recovery starts out with, you have a large group meeting, like we're doing in the service. 1 hour it goes. You open in prayer. You have worship songs. You'll read the 12 steps or 8 principles. You rotate those. We have a chip system, which I'm not going to go into today, but you get chips. And that chip is to signify, hey, I'm struggling with something. And then you have a lesson or a testimony, and they rotate. 1 week you have a lesson, next week you have a testimony. You end in serenity prayer. Now I say this is a ministry of your church. Help support it. I recommend you take up a love offering for your meeting. Some churches, I'm not doing it. We do. We've been doing it. God has blessed our church. My wife and I, we've been involved with CR for about 13, 14 years. We've been doing it at our church for 16 years. Because when it started, we thought it was drug and alcohol. We had life issues, not drug and alcohol. So we didn't get involved. So I asked to take it for offering. And I had one church said, I'm not doing it. I said, that's fine. It's up to you. He come back, he said, can I do an offering? I said, yeah, I told you could. And what I do, when we do it at our CR, I get different people to help in it. That way they're involved. Like I say, I told you before, my name's Ron. I'm a state rep in Celebrate Recovery, state representative in North Georgia and west of Atlanta. I have 35 Celebrate Recoveries I'm responsible for. And I'll tell you, I love our Celebrate Recovery ministry. I visit. Of course, the virus has slowed everybody down now, but we were going to 4 and 5 a week because I visit all my churches. We have a 12 steps and 8 principles that we read. Copies are on the table back there. Get you a copy. And it kind of what we go over, and we have a step study class is 4 books. And those classes can last up to a year. I do mine on a Tuesday night because we can have it be done in 6 months. Because I've done one not 18 months. That's a long time in a step study class. How many people do you need to start a Celebrate Recovery? I've learned this in the last 2 years. I had a Celebrate Recovery started in Cummings. And I advise him not to start to get more people involved. They started with 6 people. Now they're on life support because most people have left. I said, you need at least 10 people to help launch this. Training is very important. I think you've ordered a kit, I believe you told me, Pastor. That explains a lot of stuff that I've said in here. Training, I'm very much on training. Have people that need to be committed to Celebrate Recovery. You have signs put up when you launch. And I'll talk to the pastor about this. When you get it going, get into a step study, and what you can do in a step study, you have to have leaders to do it. But what you can do, you come together, and you can do a step study for men, somebody can do it for men, somebody can do it for ladies. You can start a step study here, and after the first book is done, 4 lessons, you can launch Celebrate Recovery at your church faster. That's it. Expedite it. Otherwise, it's 90 days before you can start it. But if you do it that way, you can go ahead and start it early. And when you start, you put up yard signs. And put signs up all about Celebrate Recovery. So we have 1 hour for large group. Then after that, you break out what we call open share. Open share for men, open share for women. They go in there and they talk. They have guidelines they follow. And they read those guidelines. And basically what is said in that room stays in that room. And in that room, you'll discuss, well, what did you get out of the testimony tonight? What spoke to you? What spoke to you out of the lesson that was given in large group tonight? And that's focus questions you can ask. It's amazing what I found in Celebrate Recovery. We all struggle with something. And us guys, I can speak for the guys, we can relate. Like in my step study class, we just started meeting. They said, we didn't realize we had so many things in common. We do struggle with the same thing. Trust is a big issue for men. It's a big issue for women too. So that's what you usually do. You follow small group guidelines in there. There's 3 phases in Celebrate Recovery. Did you get a leader's book, Pastor, with that kit?
I got like 8 weeks of something, books for 8 weeks.
Okay. You probably just got a leader's guide in there, I think. If not, I'll have to say about that, tell you about that one. Phase 1 is you investigate. They've investigated. You communicated. You invited me to come speak. Visit CRs around. Some of you, I've talked to you earlier. You've been to some of the CRs. Visit the CR, see how they're run. But I tell every CR, be your own personality. Don't copy this one. Don't copy that one. Just follow the guidelines of Celebrate Recovery. Contact your state rep, which Mike had a hard time getting through. Finally got to me. I'm a hands-on person. DNA. I have a copy of the DNA. That's guidelines you have to follow. It's certain guidelines. It's no fee. And you order a starter kit, which he ordered. I didn't give you a list of locations. I don't know if I did, but if not, I'll send it to you. I have locations for CR all in North Georgia and all in Atlanta. And what I tell people on those lists, you put that out when they send it to you, call, sit there meeting. Some of them are not meeting because of the virus. And they don't tell me this, and I don't know it, but call, but some of them you've been to, and they do meet. We had, well, we were before the virus happened, we had 3 or 4 training sessions, one-day training sessions around the southeast. And then we have a 3-day summit out it was in Tennessee, but this last year we had finally went together in Dallas, Texas for 3 days. We had 5,000 people there. And you're talking about praise and worship? Wow. Speakers. And that's where you learn about it, CR. Communicate. Put in your bulletin. Put a flyer up. We're willing to start Celebrate Recovery. If you want to help us at the church, contact so-and-so. Get the name. Contact them. Then phase 2, you plan, you prepare it, you get a leader's guide that has some lessons. So basically what it amounts to is a 2-hour meeting one night of the week. Large group for 1 hour, small group for another hour. That's it. The groups are broken down gender specific. Now when we went through, my wife and I wanted to get class together, which was a no-no, but we didn't know. I ain't gonna say nothing in front of my wife, and she ain't gonna say nothing in front of me. So, but we didn't know. We went to training. Y'all do it together? Yeah, you're not supposed to. So then we separated. We got men's class, ladies' class. But I'm going to tell you, that's where the healing takes place in the step study class. It really does. I say the women, I do my class on another night, step study, because we can get it done faster. I work with drug court, probation officers, DUI schools, judges. We do an attendance sheet at RCR. We're the only one in our whole area that does it. Most people don't do it because it's a lot of work. My wife and I do it. We do the attendance because somebody shows up. We've seen people get and we keep a record, and DFACS or the course might want to have a record of they attended. We give them a letter, they get their kids back. So it works. That's when we do it. But we don't do a letter unless we got the attendance. I'll send you an action plan that I send to every church when they're going to launch. It gives you the basics, what you got in place, projection. Then we'll talk about a start date, a launch date. And so somebody mentioned about the night you do it. Doesn't matter what night you do it. But I only say this. Some of them done it on Sunday night. And I said, okay, you can do it Sunday night, but I don't recommend it. The reason why, your hurts, having hang-ups don't take a vacation. They don't take a break. You have to have CR. Well, we're not going to do CR on Sunday afternoon. It's Father's Day, so we're not going to have CR tonight. We're not Mother's Day. No, you got to have CR. So think about the night that you do it. What we do, the phase 3, when they come in, I recommend just doing snacks. Now we do a meal. We do a full course meal. We run around 60 at our CR every week. We were up to 175 every week. But 15 CRs are launched around us from our CR. They go out to their church. Some of the churches, people come in, they go to their home church and start it. One critical area is having child care for the kids, nursery. Because people want to come, but they got the kids. And we had some of them said, I don't go to that CR because I don't have child care. We do. Now, we're blessed at our church. God's blessed us financially for Celebrate Recovery. And we pay somebody for our nursery every Thursday night. So we're blessed on that. Your minister leader, let me say this. A minister leader who runs this CR, the reason I say this, I do not, say you start CR. I'm saying, I want you to be the minister leader. I don't do that. I don't tell who's going to be the minister leader. That's up to the pastor to appoint who he wants to run this program. Because that happened this last year, and they jumped me about it. I didn't put him in the position. You did. Well, I thought you did, Ron. I said, no, I didn't. So that minister leader works closely with the pastor. That's the key. There's 7 keys in Celebrate Recovery we call. Leadership, number 1. Training. Once you stop learning, you stop leading. Number 2, senior pastor support. You've got to have that. Number 3, curriculum or the CR Bible, stuff the CR goes by. Number 4, outreach. I don't deviate from this. Celebrate, I love AA, NA, all of them are great. Okay? Celebrate Recovery is a Christ-centered recovery program. I can't fix it, you can't fix it, Christ can fix it. And I love the secular program, they're fine, they reach people, but this is Christ-centered. Number 5, fellowship events in the recovery program. That's key. I done a picnic in a park for 6 years in Dallas, Georgia. We launched at RCR, and we done it the first year. We had maybe 75 people show up, and we had hot dogs and hamburgers and had a DJ and everything. I done it for 6 years. When I quit the last year, I said, I've had enough. I'm burnt out. I can't do anymore. We had 35 Celebrate Recoveries around the area coming. Over 600 people come to the picnic in the park every September. So you can have events like that. The thing is also, new groups build around each other. Go visit the other CRs. And number 7, worship. It's like a preacher, a pastor. I'm a preacher. When you get ready to preach, it's great that you have the music and the songs flowing, the Spirit's flowing. Then you can receive from the pastor or the minister the Word of God. And that's what's key. We have that in Celebrate Recovery. That worship is a big program. Also, we have kids program. Now, I used to say I don't recommend starting it when you launch a CR. The kids program is Celebration Plays, age 4 to 12. And the landing is 13 to 17, teenagers. And I said, I don't recommend starting it. Well, I had a CR start, and the ministry leader come to me after we launched, about a couple of weeks. He said, can I talk to you, Ron? I said, yeah. He said, my kids they have nothing to go to. I come to CR, my kids have nothing. I stay home. Can we start it? Get you two people. I said 6 or something. My wife said, no, tell them get 2. So we got 2 people committed to it. It's taken off for the teenagers. Our teenage program, we've been struggling with it for years. We're running probably 8 to 12 every week in our landing for the teenagers. It's taken off. We've got 2 leaders devoted to it. It really works. Before I go into the next part of this presentation, I've learned this. I used to present this to a pastor, elders, or deacons. Well, the whole church don't know what it is. So I changed my delivery to working with the pastors to present it at 11 o'clock service, because then you hear it from me what it is. This is a Christ-centered program. It works. Now, I'm going to ask my wife to come up for something. She's going to demonstrate a couple of things. I'm going to let her share that with you. Now, any questions, I'll do.
My name is Carolyn. I'm a grateful believer and follower of Jesus Christ, and I struggle with trusting, forgiving people, and codependency. I'm trying to fix you and help at the same time. Let's just say you're walking down the street somewhere and you've got this mask on your face, and everybody sees it, and everybody says, how you doing? I am doing great. Good, I'm glad to hear you're doing great. Next person, how you doing? I'm doing great. When you take off that mask, then you have another mask on. And then the second mask is, okay, you're maybe struggling financially, you're having issues at work, you're having issues with your kids. How you doing? I'm doing great. So next time somebody says you got another mask on, and they say, how you doing? I'm doing great. But in reality, you might be fixing to get addicted, your power's turned off, you've got all of these issues, but you're hid behind this mask, and everything is great. It's not great. And that is in the first lesson, which is denial. You're denying everything. So just remember, in Celebrate Recovery, you begin to take off these masks and you begin to reveal your true self. And then the other thing is, you might be at a family reunion or whatever, and you got this imaginary, you got this pink elephant sitting in the floor. We all, and I didn't think I did, but we all have some kind of an issue. It doesn't matter what it is. And that pink elephant sitting in the floor is something that you're hoping that nobody brings up because you don't want to discuss it, and if you don't talk about it, it'll go away. But it's always going to be right there in that floor. But once you have it out and you discuss it, it's lifted off of your shoulders. And for me, I didn't want people to know that my daddy drank, that he was abusive to us. I was molested when I was 12 or 13 years old. I didn't want people to know that. I was already ashamed and embarrassed of it, but nobody knew it but me. But I was still ashamed and embarrassed. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because I didn't like what I seen. So once I started to Celebrate Recovery, and that came out as one of my issues, it was like Satan no longer has that hold on me. It's gone. And I don't mind standing up here and telling you that I was molested. My daddy, how ugly he was. I was molested by a cousin. I've never seen so much of that going on until I became involved in Celebrate Recovery. It is so much out there. People need to talk about it and get it off of their shoulders. And once it is, then next time you go, that pink elephant is not there because you don't have to worry about it. But somebody else might have an issue. But once you bring yours out, then you're free of it. You know, you can't deny it and all, but just remember, when you got these masks on, you've got to get those masks off. And Celebrate Recovery helps you get that mask off and put it behind you. And it's just amazing how you can see people begin to change after that. And like he was saying, we try to do a step study in 6 months. That's where you do the lesson and the question the same night. And therefore you can get through. If not, if we do it on a Thursday night, we can't do the lesson and the question. It might take you 2 or 3 weeks to do one lesson and questions if you have a lot of people. So, it's just all up to y'all how y'all want to do it and everything. But just remember, whenever you begin to discuss it, Satan no longer has that hold on you.
Amen. Like Karen was saying, I never could talk about me being sexually abused as a boy. You don't talk about that in church. You don't talk about it in Sunday school. But I'm free. I'm not under bondage anymore. I'm free in Jesus. That's who takes care of the situations. In the back there, I have a lot of handouts. Just get you a copy of the handouts, take with you. Get it with your pastor. Talk, discuss this. There's a sheet back there. If you're interested in helping with CR, helping anyway, helping with Celebrate Recovery, launching it here at the church, sign your name and phone number, and a pastor will get with you. You won't be left alone either, because I walk you through a lot of this. I'm hands-on, and I'll give you some pointers. Do this. No, don't do this. Do this. It's to help you. I've thrown a lot at you this morning, but do you have any questions you'd like to ask me about it? I did not answer. I know some of you have been to CRs and visit. If you when I send that list to you, it's some CRs you can visit. Some of them are small, some are larger. I've had to get on to some of them. They don't follow DNA, and they get off of it. I said, no, you got to follow DNA. And I try to help them with it. But it's in 37,000 churches today, and overseas. I was working in Honduras. I went to Honduras on a mission trip. And people said, will you speak about Celebrate Recovery? So everywhere I went, I was talking about Celebrate Recovery. So they've launched it. This works. I believe in my own belief that this is the future church. Because if you go in every church, they're in denial. We don't have a problem, but we all have problems. We have life issues every single day. So anybody have any questions you'd like to ask? Yes.
You talked about the Celebrate Recovery for children and teenagers.
Uh-huh.
Do you curriculum, or is it adjusted, or how
All right.
do you?
In our large group, we have a lesson. In the teenage group, they have a lesson to their level. And then they break out in sessions, girls and boys, and leader for each of those, and they answer the questions in there, and they have guidelines they follow. And then the little ones have the same lesson in their level. So going home, wow, they talk about some things they're struggling with, because these kids are hurting. We've got kids hurting out there, teenagers are hurting. Big time. And it's not many CRs have those, okay? We do. We're the only one. We got 15 CRs in our area. We're the only one that has it. Because you got to have leaders committed to do it. But I know John Baker, who started Celebrate Recovery in 1991, he done it on a napkin, went to Rick Warren, told what he was an alcoholic, told him probably had, drew up a plan, gave it to him. A week later, called him in. Rick Warren said, "It's yours, run it." Since 1990, we celebrated 30 years of Celebrate Recovery last year. We finally got to meet in person, but now we have to go shut down because of the virus. We had training coming from in Atlanta in November, where they had to postpone it because of the virus. It's ramping stuff up, so we've got to be safe what we do. But that's a good question. It's at their level, and it's really good. Really is, and I think we, and as I said earlier, each church is different. When that minister came to me, Ron, I'd like to do that. I'm not going to say no. I just say I recommend at the beginning, but after I get into it and you get going, Ron, that one church, they had 30 little kids in there. I said, you need a celebration place. So they got 2 people to run it, and they're taking off with it. Our kids are hurting. Our kids are hurting everywhere. Society, so that's a good question. Anybody else? I like that question. Who all has been to a Celebrate Recovery meeting? Okay. So you're familiar with it. It works. Like before the virus hit, we were going to probably 4 or 5 CRs a week. And I'm hands-on. I visit. I want the minister leader and the pastor to know I'm there to support them. If I don't know an answer, I'll find the answer out. I met with a pastor 2 months ago, and the minister leader did not let me meet the pastor. I kept trying to meet with him, go over with him, never did. Some things happened, so I finally met with a pastor, and I gave him information. He said, I didn't know any of this. That's when I want the pastor. This is the minister of the church and all. But I hope I answered a few questions for you. If you're interested in helping, it might be any way in Celebrate Recovery. Sign that sheet and get it to the pastor. This is the great ministry, and we need it up in this area. We got them all around. That's fine. Gainesville, all that. That's fine. We have 4 on Monday night in our area, but some can't go to this one, but they'll go to that one. So we'll discuss the dates when you want to do it later on and what night to do it. But I'm going to promise you, what did I say earlier? Pray. That God lead you in this ministry. It works. I'm evidence. It works. I'm sold out to Jesus, number 1. My faith is stronger in Jesus Christ because of the ministry of Celebrate Recovery. And I'm going to say one more thing and I'm going to close. I told one lady, I had lost a 7-year-old daughter, got killed back in the 80s. I lost one daughter. This last December, I lost my 39-year-old daughter to cancer. In fact, for 4 years. And that was hard. People say, how are you standing doing this now? I said, Jesus Christ and Celebrate Recovery. That's why I can do this. I'll see her. I know where she's at. But this ministry works. Thank you for letting me just share a little bit on my heart. And my wife sharing some things about the elephant in the room. But we're here to help you, support you, encourage you. Remember this. This is God's ministry. Not mine. It's God's ministry. It works. Pastor.